There we go.
Awesome.
We're live.
We are live. Look at that countdown.
Pretty
Abby,
cool.
I don't know if you can see the chat over on the right-hand side, but were you able to see that countdown? Because it was pretty snazzy.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Well, welcome.
First couple minutes before a meeting are always fun, right?
Yeah.
Feel like you're staring at somebody with nothing to say. Like an awkward first date.
Awkward first date. Only it's with a lot of people, like, hello, it's like speed dating.
A friend of mine, Dr. Christine Mason. Hi, Christine. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We'll be able to see her in chat. Dr. Mason is an awesome friend of ours.
Hey, Dr. Mason, thanks for joining us. Nice to meet you. And I'm gonna see. Yeah, guys, there should be a panel on the right-hand side. I just sent you a chat, and feel free to use that chat right there. You can also ask questions. There's polls, which is a lot of fun. But I always like to find out when we got this downtime, what's everybody, how's everybody? What do I like a TV show? Like what TV show are you currently watching? Oh, Christine said,
that should be one of your poll questions. How many are upset that the Kardashians are no longer on?
Oh.
I'll admit, I watched this stupid show.
Oh.
It's like a train wreck, and you can't quit watching.
You can't. And it just keeps, it's such a good background show. Like, you just can totally get lost in it and just completely tune out, but then also.
Yep. Yeah, there's shows that are just like that. The one I'm having fun watching is that Beverly Hills housewife woman that was married to the attorney, that Erica Jane. So I watched a special on that today.
Okay.
About how much he defrauded these poor people. I mean, it's really, really sad.
Oh my gosh.
He defrauded millions of dollars from this kid that was a serious burn victim from an explosion. And then a plane that crashed, all the parents and the widows of those people, he defrauded their money as well. And so I was like, just want to slap him. It was bad.
Oh my gosh. What is that like is it a show that they're talking about there, or is that a special?
There's a special on Hulu called Housewives and Hustlers. You can check it out.
Housewives and Hustlers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, so it looks like it's 8:00 and we got a couple people coming on.
Yeah.
So we'll give it a couple more minutes.
That sounds perfect. Yeah. We just want to make sure everybody can join on. We know it's a little bit later, so accommodate. So give you a few minutes to settle in and make sure everybody gets on that wants to. And if you guys are just joining us, let us know. We're talking about TV shows right now to get things started. If you guys got a hot TV show we need to know about.
Your guilty pleasure.
Yes.
So I think the best show on TV right now is Yellowstone. And it's, I think, on Apple only. Kevin Costner.
I need to watch. I've heard so many good
That is a great show.
Yes. I've been watching Mayor of Easttown with, oh my gosh, I just blanked. Kate Winslet. And it's on HBO. It's amazing. Everybody should watch it. And I'm like 3 episodes in. I guess there's only 6 or 7. But I've heard so many good things about Yellowstone.
Yeah,
it's get on the bandwagon.
I hate to admit how many shows I purge watched during the whole COVID shutdown. I watched all of Orange is the New Black, The Blacklist. What's the one where they're the Justin Bateman? He was like a
Ozark.
Yes. So I watched all 3 of those, like beginning to end. Way too much TV.
I watched all the I can't believe I'm admitting this to everybody, but I watched all the Marvel movies in chronological order. Oh God, but it's so good. I would totally recommend it. Maybe during a pandemic. Maybe not now because everything's opening back up and back to reality. But
So yeah, in the chat, everybody can put in what is their guilty pleasure of TV shows that they're embarrassed to watch.
Yes.
Well, why don't we kick this off, Abby?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. And just to kind of let you guys know too, we do have some polls going. So feel free to, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a chat. You can also ask questions. And we do have a poll going right now. We're wondering who all has dental intel and what software you guys use for your patient communications. And you'll know why that comes in handy in a little bit. But if you want to answer that poll, that's really going to help us out a lot. We'll have a few more coming up throughout this webinar. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining Kelly and I. We're just gonna go ahead and dive in, and I'm just so excited for you guys to break down what we're gonna show you some numbers and really what we're gonna go over. So in case of you guys that don't know Kelly or I, my name is Abby. I'm with High Five Practice. We are a data-driven marketing agency that focuses on your existing patients. We do this by using your communication software such as Modento, NextHealth, RevenueWell, Lighthouse, Solution Reach, any of those softwares. We actually utilize those to send out effective emails and text messages to get your patients back in the chair and increase treatment acceptance. So we work with dental practices all over the US and have seen results of up to 100 appointments for just one email booked through our email marketing. And then Kelly, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So I'm Kelly Schwartz. I'm the CEO of Schwartz Consulting Group. My wife Anna and I are partners. We work with about 750 practices nationwide. Last year, I think our total combined revenues were just over 900 million in production, and our clients combined have over 2 million patients served. And we know this from our dental intel data that we use. They're our software partner that we use for our training and information, as do you. And so I just want to say thank you to, High Five Practice, Kevin Barnett, yourself for inviting me on today. I'm excited.
Yay, we're so happy to have you. I'm excited to pick your brain on really knowing dental intel in a deeper dive, because who better than you? You are the dental intel expert, and really diving in and simplifying what all the numbers are, because there's such a great quantity of all the numbers, practice numbers, and to see the health of these practices. So for you to really simplify it and to have that solution of how to read it and where to go to is going to be huge. So thank you so much, Kelly, for taking this time. I'm excited to break this down for everybody.
I am too. And one of the big things that I know High Five Practice does that I like most about dental intel is there's information and then there's action items, right? And so you can have all the statistics and numbers that you want, but if you can't put an action item behind it, what's the point? What do you need to change? So tonight, a couple things I know I'm going to talk about, you're going to talk about are what are your numbers, kind of what should they be, and then what can you do to improve them? And tonight our real focus is on the new patient as well as patient retention, right? Absolutely. So that's what we're going to go over. Yeah. And excited. Are you recording by chance?
I am recording, yes. And guys, everybody that has registered, you will get a replay. So feel free to always have that replay. We will also have this available for future. So if people want to, if you are like, this is amazing, I want my team to watch this and see it, we'll be able to have it available for you to replay it to them, or they can register for future watching as well. So I'm glad that you asked that, Kelly. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So basically, y'all, with our brains together, we're going to show you how to read your practice numbers, like Kelly said, and how to change those numbers for the better. Kelly's an expert when it comes to dental intel. He's going to dive into what your recurring numbers actually mean and show live example of dental intel dashboard to understand how to read it. Then I'm going to show you how to take action, like he said, on those numbers and how to turn your schedule holes into profitable opportunities with patient communications. So like I said, you guys can ask or chat along by using the side panel. Feel free to ask anything along the way, and we'll be happy to answer all those questions. You'll also notice, for those of you that are just joining, there's polls available for you to answer. We'd love for you to engage. We love an engaging audience, so feel free to ask whatever's on your mind, and we'll be walking with you guys every step of the way. So yay, who's ready? Woo!
I'm ready.
All right, Kelly, well, let's go ahead and dive in. I know you've got some live data to show us and actually how to read dental intel. So let's just dive into this and drop some knowledge.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Cool.
And I know there are many tracking softwares and numbers and things of that nature you can use. But the one that we tend to favor is Dental Intel. And as I said, the reason I favor Dental Intel is the action items behind it. It's not just statistics. So what you're seeing on your screen here is a live practice and what a practice owner or you would be seeing with your numbers. And today, you know, information can be overwhelming and overloading. We're just going to break down a few basic things that we know and should see about your practice, especially when it comes to practice growth. So one of the first numbers I like to take a look at right here is active patients. So we know in this practice we have 2,800 active patients, and we can see that year over year that the practice has grown a little bit. So we can see, Abby, last year in May, they had 2,704 patients, and they're up to 2,812 right now. So we can see they've had just over 100 that they've maintained. Now, in some practices, you want to get 5 people in and 4 people out. And some practices that are maybe a little bit smaller that might have 1,000 or 2,000 patients, and they need to keep more instead of getting them in and out or trading them in and out, if you will. But one of the most important numbers you should know about your active patients is it gives you an indicator of how many hygiene days you should have. So as a rule of thumb, you should have 1 full-time hygienist working at least 4 days a week for every 1,000 patients. If you had 1 hour prophies and you work 16 days a month, you have 768 1-hour openings in a 6-month time frame. So 2 hygienists would give you right around 1,500 appointments, even though I'm recommending 2,000 patients as a twofold hygiene practice. The reason being is not everybody will schedule their 6-month cleaning on time. So in order to not have downtime or open time in the hygiene schedule, we want to have extra patients to pull in. The other number that you want to keep an eye on are your active hygiene patients and see where you're at there. And again, we can see that we've been about flat with the hygiene, where we're up a couple hundred patients in the total practice, but we're only up about 120, or not even that, I'm sorry, we're only up 30 patients in terms of the hygiene. So we're at max capacity for this particular practice with this amount of hygiene patients. The other, when we're looking at new patients, if you're looking at Dental Intel, and we're going to talk about one of the offers that that High Five Practice is offering combined with me, where we can do snapshots for everybody. But when you're looking, if you already have Dental Intel under your new patients, we can see that year to date, when you click the trend, it shows you how many new patients you had compared to the amount of new patients last year. Now, last year we know was a shortage with the 2 to 3 months closed down due to COVID. So this is no surprise. But you can see compared to the year before, same date, 276, 275, we're right about the same pace. So we can say that we're back to normal. The other thing under the new patients, when you're looking at investing in marketing and hiring a great firm like High Five Practice, when you look at source data, it's going to pull all the new patients that you've got in your practice year to date.
Yeah.
One of the things you want to make sure you're recording in your practice management software is the source in which they're coming from. So if you're an EagleSoft, Dentrix, or Open Dental, Dental Intel's polling, this is a rather large practice, but it's going to show us all 275 names and then where those new patients have come from, as long as we've implemented that information. Let's try that one more time.
And that information's in their management software, correct, Kelly? So as long as
they have to put it in their practice management software, and then Dental Intel pulls that information. So the way I describe what Dental Intel does is your practice management software is the brain of your practice, and Dental Intel picks the brain. So every night when it syncs up, it pulls all the information, puts it into usable action items that we can do something with. And so right now, of course, with streaming and the internet, I'm getting a little bit of lag here. So I'm going to come back to this.
And Kelly, really quick, Dr. Mason asked a question about, can you define what is considered active patients?
Active patient is a great question. So right here, one of the things I like also about dental intel is it defines what they're looking at. Yeah. But when you click the little I under active patient, it gives you the definition. But active is a patient in your practice management software that have completed an appointment in the last 18 months. Now, some offices go 24, some might even go a little longer. But if you look at it, 18 months is really a good determination, because they need to have come in for at least one hygiene cycle or once every 18 months. If they're not there, I wouldn't really call them active when you're looking at 2 visits per year, right? So we want to see what's going on there. Now, before we talk about growth, the other thing we want to look at is what do we have in terms of retention. So this pie chart right here shows you a little bit of this information. So where we see we have 2,800 active patients up here, of that 2,800, 1,100 are not scheduled at this time. So a little less than half. And of that, the pie chart doesn't tell you how long they're overdue, but how long it's been since they've been here when they left an appointment. So in the 0 to 6 month range, we had 500 people come in the last 6 months that scheduled no appointment of any type. In the 6 to 9, we had 259 unscheduled. Patients who've been in the 9 to 12, we had 147. And in completing the active of 12 to 18, we have 173. So that is part of our active patient base. But on top of that, this orange, these are patients that are still active in your practice management software, but they're not counted as an active patient. So we have 631 patients that still consider you their dentist. They've been in 18 to 36 months, but for some reason, they've not been into our practice. And Abby, I'm going to ask you a quick question, see if you know this. What's the number one reason patients leave a practice?
I always say it's ease of an appointment, right? So if they leave your appointment or your chair and you do not have them reappointed, it's going to be a lot harder to get them back in the office.
That's partially true, but the number one reason is a lack of indifference or caring by the doctor's staff. Translated, these people weren't invited back when they canceled, broke, no-showed, or didn't appoint when they left. Somehow they've slipped through the cracks. So when we look at, for example, these 18 to 36 month, these are all the patients that were in the time frame, and I've got them in HIPAA mode here. But we can also bring those patients with the biggest treatment plans to the top and then start inviting those patients in. So we have a system where you click on the patient's name and you make a contact with that person. We can see all the activity that we have done. These would be our notes. They're in blur right now because of HIPAA. But we can see how many times they've been called. We have all that information. Now, on top of that, we want to have a set system for retention for recall. So we have a system of calling, messaging, dialogue, scripting, whatever you want to call it, but we have a system and protocol for making sure we're inviting these patients back. So we can see that their last visit was 9/3 of 19. They owe no money, but they have a $40,000 treatment plan. Now, the odds of getting them back in for all that are slim to none, but we can give them a shot. And if you don't have local med, we're able to send them a link where they can pick the provider they want, and we can pick a date we want them to see appointments from that point on. And with a click of a button, they can make their appointment without even having to contact the office, which makes it easier for your staff and easy for the patient, because I don't have to reach you between normal operating hours. I can go online anytime I want. So in knowing a couple of your numbers, know your new patients, and let's see if source data is working at this point.
Yeah,
sometimes and get a little bit of glitch. Go ahead, Abby.
I want to step in on this too, because that is the unscheduled active patients is our favorite one to work, because there's so much opportunity right there. Kelly, what you just showed as far as looking at individual people and how to communicate to them, even using like Dental Intel works with Modento really well, or your communication software as a whole, whether that's RevenueWell, Lighthouse, Next Health, what have you. This is where we like to come in and go and send out an email and text to all the patients that are on that list. Then you can go a step further, like Kelly just showed you, and once you have people booking online, let's say it's with local med, it's already included. They can book online directly without even contacting your office, making it easier on the patient and your team. But then you go in and you take the phones or you contact them individually to really make that extra push. But blasting everybody and personalizing it like it's actually from the doctor, or showing a photo of the doctor and having a big button, even when you get into 2 years, 3 years, you can easily say, we haven't seen you in 2 years. Patients don't realize it's been that long. They thought they were just there, so
only in dentistry do we look at things in 6-month cycles and 10-minute increments. I mean, every doctor will tell you, patients will walk in, oh, I just had x-rays taken. That was 5 years ago. Or I just had that filling done. Yeah, that was 6 years ago. So to the average patient, to be 18 months since they've seen you, especially due to COVID, a lot of offices were already booked full. And so when they reopened, all the patients they didn't get in were already displaced, if you will. So one of the things I really love here, again, instead of just calling everybody, if you look at all these people that have been 18 months since they've been in, some of them have very little to no treatment plans, where a lot of systems staff will just call anybody who's unscheduled. We like to call the patients who have the biggest treatment plan, not because it's the most money. Yes, that's true. But the biggest reason is they have the most care needed. So if we don't invite these patients back that have these bigger treatment plans, they have a greater chance of having a problem. Same thing when we're looking at patients that have been in the last 6 months. You can see a few of these names that are in red. They are already overdue, even though they've been in within the last 6 months. The names in black are the patients that have been in within 6 months, but they're not due yet. Now, with local med and or using dental intel, we can be scheduling those patients before they're due, or we can click this hygiene past due button. It brings all the people that are overdue to the top here, and we can sort by the biggest treatment plans. So the patients here at the top have the most needs. Now, you can also see right here from a management standpoint how many times these people have been called, when their next follow-up date is, and when the last attempt was made. So the effort that we make on these phone calls, as well as what we're sending on local med, here on our local med platform, we're able to see all the patients we sent messages to and all the patients that actually scheduled their appointment. It's very, very beneficial. But here's one of the powerful little numbers to know as an office. So we're looking at these people who are unscheduled. This year, in this particular office, just using the local med, the dialogue scripting and systems that we've implemented into this particular practice, their hygiene recare numbers, and it's pulling. And can you ask Logan to log off? My son's probably gaming right now, and it's
I gotta love it.
Crushing the internet signal is what's going on right now. So let me change this. Let me just do. And
just to clarify too why that's buffering, if you guys aren't familiar with local med, it's an online scheduler. So it allows allows the patient to easily book their appointment by viewing your schedule. And I know sometimes that's intimidating for an office to give that, what do I want to say? Want to make sure that you're giving that authority to the practice, but you have, or the patients, but you have full control over what they're booking and who they're booking it with. I actually did a webinar with Mike with local med a few weeks ago, and he was saying that 77% of patients actually want to self-schedule because it's so much easier. So if you think that patients don't want that, that's a crazy stat. 77% actually do want it, and they want it to be easy because you guys, it's so. You can know, even to book a reservation online, we do everything from our phone. We have so much control as the end users. And so giving that up only provides a better experience. And that's what local med can do. You can easily link it right in an email. So to Kelly's point, they can act a lot faster to get these numbers up.
So this numbers have booted through. So this office, the first 6 months, we can see each staff member, which again, I have on HIPAA mode, how many calls each staff member has made. And most importantly, look at the number they generated by using the system in the first 6 months, 153,000 in hygiene. With our follow-ups for unscheduled treatment, we generated an extra 160,000. So we're able to see between recare in terms of our follow-up systems and our unscheduled treatment, we're able to see $300,000 in revenue, but also see who is contributing from our team as a whole. And we like to have an entire team involvement. So just a couple little neat tools. So retention is really important, knowing your patient base. But if you look at 1,100 patients that are unscheduled, here's where this is really important. If I know my hygienist, let's say I have 3, and all 3 are booked full for 6 months, and I have 1,100 unscheduled. On top of that, I have another 631. I basically have 1,700 patients unscheduled. I could even bring in another associate and add another day of hygiene or 2 if I had the space. So what that tells me, Abby, and I know from a marketing standpoint, this isn't a practice that needs a ton of new patients. They need to recapture their own. And when you think about it, which is less expensive, adding new patients or keeping the ones you have? Now, what you and I want is we want both, right? We want new patients and retention. So jumping down here, another great data here is what we call our new patients. And one of the things I like here is this little trend button when we click the year over year. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to delete a couple things. And so this first one is our new patients month over month going back to January of 2019. So when you see the number of new patients we're getting, that's great. 78 patients in April, another 39 in May, and 61. Abby, why do you think we have such big up and downs in the new patient schedule? Any idea? Did I lose it?
Because no, because that's over in April and March.
Well, the big reason that we find is we don't plan for growth, right? So we have a new patient, we have our hygiene schedule that's completely full.
Yeah. And
we've not blocked room to allow new patients to get in. So with high five marketing, our practices, we put in a campaign to get new patients in, make the phone ring. The phone rings and I can't get you in for a month and a half. What are you going to do? You're going to go somewhere else.
Call the next office. Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to make sure that we're planning for the growth. And with some of this data, we can anticipate how many or how much openings do we need, because we can break down with this data how many new patients came in operative and how many came in through hygiene first. So here are our new patients, and then recaptured, this dark blue that you're seeing is when we pull patients back into our practice that has been more than 18 months. So we can see we recaptured 24 patients last month, 18 the month before, and 19 the month before that hadn't been into our practice in the last 18 months. You could almost look at those like new patients, right?
Yeah.
Then we have inactivity below the midline. This is the scary number. These are the number of patients as of the first of that month that have gone 18 months since they were last in. And then the status change are the patients that we inactivated. So what it's taking is all the new patients, all the patients that are in your practice that we recaptured having not been in 18 months, patients that now went 18 months past due, and patients that we went into our practice management software and inactivated it. It shows us then our growth. And so wherever we drop below the midline, even though we had 39 new patients recaptured 24, most doctors would be going, yay, but we had 59 patients go inactive, 20 that left our practice. We actually lost 16 patients in our overall base. Month before that, we were positive 12. Month before that, a positive 17. Now, one of the goals that I like to set in terms of how many new patients should we have, I use what I call the positive 16 rule, which means we want to get basically 1 new patient a day if we're working 16 days a month, and this is based on a 1-doctor practice. But if we want to maintain that positive 16, which allows us to grow by 2 hygiene days every 6 months, we have to not lose more. So if we have 30 new patients in and we lose 15 to status change or inactivity, we only grew by 15 and we want to grow by 16. So we can pay attention to both numbers, right? Whether we're getting new patients in the door, new patients or old patients out the door, all of that information is really important. So here's our source data that I was talking about earlier. Over here in the far left-hand side, we can sort by where people are coming in from. We can see if they were from a patient or from the internet, from signage, whatever it may be. And I don't really want to stay on this one long, but of the new patients, 29 came in through restorative, 9 came through hygiene, and one came in with no ADA recognized code. And if we had anybody who did both restorative and hygiene in the same visit, they would show up here. And so of our 39 patients this month, this is telling us where everybody came from. Okay. Now, important number to pay attention to right here, and most practices don't track this unless they have a killer software like this, but our hygiene reappointment percentage. We had 39 new patients in hygiene and only 11 reappointed. So one of the things I like to train our doctors to do is any new patient who comes in when they leave the office, and I know you can help us with this with some automation, I like to make sure we reach out to that patient, thank him for coming in, and find out how we did. So a call might go something like this. Abby, I just wanted to thank you for coming to our practice. I know you're new to us. We're looking forward to you being in our practice for a lifetime. Did we meet or exceed your expectations? And you would say yay or nay. Hopefully, yes, we did. But I noticed that you didn't make your next appointment. Was everything okay? Oh, yeah, I just don't have anything going on, or I don't know my schedule, etc. But I like to make a care call because there's a reason they chose you. We want to make sure that the reason they did not reappoint was one that we can control, that's in a good favor. So we want to make sure we have a follow-up. Now I'm going to jump down here just real quick. When we look at our hygiene reappointment, this pulls all our patients who reappointed in the particular practice, but it also shows us all the patients who did not reappoint. It's all of them. And then if they were new, they would be in this far right-hand corner. See where it says yes right here and yes right here? These are the new patients that didn't reappoint. So there's only a handful this month. So all this data is really, real important, but we can also create a follow-up on that to make sure we recapture them. So again, when I'm looking at this and I see a new patient that didn't reappoint, right here I can click on this patient's name. Ooh, I'm clicking on the provider. Kind of hard when they're blurred out. But I can click on this patient's name and I can create a follow-up to invite them back in for their next hygiene visit. And because they're on HIPAA mode, it's not going to allow me to do that. But I can create that follow-up regarding their hygiene appointment. Oops. Regarding the hygiene appointment, I can pick a date in a couple months to invite them back. I can assign it to a particular staff member and make that all happen so we don't lose anyone. All part of the retention. The other number that's key in case acceptance right here is of our new patients, what percentage of the treatment or what percentage of those patients actually scheduled. So we can see that we presented treatment on 28 patients and 17 of them scheduled, a great number, because two numbers we like to really pay attention to is the dollars presented to the dollars accepted, which we like to have around 50%. And of the patients we present, we like to have 80%, so 8 out of 10, right? So on that, here again, if we go over here to Provider Pulse, and let me just do a shorter period of time. Let me do last month. And we're going to jump down here to hygiene dollars or total dollars presented to treated. Total dollars that we presented to accepted. So here we were low on our dollars. We presented a lot, but we only had 131 accept for 35%. We would normally want this to be around 50%. On our patient acceptance side, we want 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10. We want 80%. So we had a little bit of an off month at 71%. Now, in this particular office, I know really well. We had the primary doctor out for a short period of time. We also had a hygienist or two that were on vacation. We had some temps. So we know why the numbers are a little bit lower than normal in this particular month. But two numbers you want to pay attention to. The dollars presented to the case acceptance, we want to see at 50%, and we want to see 8 out of 10 patients scheduling year to date. So going back to our performance board with our new patients, we want to see 50% of the dollars and 80% of the patients scheduling. And this shows us month to date, and we are in the month of May. We can see we had 39 new patients, recaptured 24, lost 79, and had a negative 16 growth. One of the great things here also, Abby, as I know you're aware, we can jump back without having to run a new report to April, and we can see we had 78 new patients, recaptured 18, lost 84, and we had a growth of 12. And if we click right here on our lost, it'll even tell us which patients we lost that fell 18 months past due. That's activity. And those that we inactivated, that status change. Now, all this information is so important because you're investing in growing your practice. Once you get them in the door, you really want to make sure they're coming back. So a modern analogy is we just went on our first date and we want to make sure that we get a second or third date. You know, we're trying to get these patients to stay with us a long time. And somebody told me, I guess with Tinder or something, swipe left or swipe right. I don't know what it is. But, you know, whoever comes in to see you, you want to know that they're wanting to invite you back into the practice.
Yeah.
So new patient numbers are just really important to pay attention to. Make sure you're tracking your sources, where they're coming from in your practice management software so that you can decide, are we getting patients from signage? And with social media, I like to break it into kind of a couple different things. I group together Facebook and Instagram as one social media, but website is totally separate. And then patient to patient, internal patients, and signage are the 5 big ones. And then if you're doing external, let's say you're doing a direct marketing campaign for Invisalign. So you'll have an Invisalign new patient, you know, promotion. Maybe you're doing something with sleep dentistry or Vivos, or maybe just a direct marketing campaign through you, Abby. We want to know that what you're doing is working, and we can then track the return on the investment. So these are a couple of the low-lying fruit areas that we like to point out when, you know, you're utilizing dental intel in terms of helping your practice as a whole.
That is such good insight, and I thank you for that deep dive, because I think it can be very overwhelming when you're looking at those numbers to really dive into what, because we get it, you're busy, right? You're a clinician, sometimes you're an electrician, sometimes you're a plumber, you're HR. There's a lot happening. So but you have all these numbers at your fingertips, and it's just able to decipher it and know how to use it to its full potential.
Right.
I did put in some amazing stat or information that you were giving, Kelly, within the chat. So hopefully you guys can read that too. But again, feel free to be asking questions. I want to go ahead, now that you gave that, show direction on how you guys can take those numbers now, and you can identify the holes. Well, how do you help it, right? So Kelly, you specifically talked about reactivation. You talked about unscheduled treatment, reappointment. So these are some campaigns that we love to use. So we kind of talked about, I'm going to share my screen now. Here you go. We talked about how to uncover the unscheduled more than anything. So you see where you have active patients. They were at your practice. They've been with you. Now you just want to get them back. And again, it's all about ease. It's all about making it really, really easy. And I'm actually going to present this really quick so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. So now this is a huge example of our reactivation campaign. So you can see with all of your softwares, no matter what you use, there's always going to be something to start with. So keep that in mind, you guys. If it's Modento, if it's Lighthouse, if it's NextHealth, RevenueWell, what have you, they all have some kind of template for you to at least start with. What you're going to notice is a little bit different with ours is we like to use custom photography. We want to make sure it exudes your brand and that it's very easy to act. So if you look at the numbers that Kelly just showed you for the top right-hand corner with unscheduled active patients, we want to get them back, right? Well, it really comes down to, just like you're busy, so are the patients, and you want to make it relatable to them. We always like to say, we know how to talk to your patients because we are your patient. So when you're making this copy, when you're writing out this verbiage, you want to make sure it relates to the patient. Again, they may not realize how long it's been since they've been to your office. So even pointing out a specific timeline is super helpful. But you can go into certain softwares and actually filter out that specific list of patients. So we like to say EAT. It's educate, automate, and target. So this is the target part of the EAT, right? You can actually you can pick a filter, or you can take this list from Dental Intel and upload it into your patient communication software and target that specific list of unscheduled active patients. So what I always want to point out, this is, again, this is what you see before. It has specific information. There's a puppy dog. We like to use custom photography to really drive it home so they know that it is from you. But most importantly, it's this request an appointment button. You want to make it very prominent and easy for them to act, and you better guarantee that when they click on that, they are actually able to request an appointment or use local med. So it's really easy for them to move forward and they don't even have to think about it. Because like I was saying earlier, it comes down to ease. It comes down to the patient not having to second guess on if they should do something, but click it, fill it out, and move on with their day. So that's why
one of the things I like here with the automation, and we do some of these similar things manual, but this is why I like working with you.
Yeah.
Where you have the puppy dog and we miss you. I have a picture. I have a picture of a search party. Like, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Where are you? We've been looking for you.
Yes.
From the customization, we'll get a picture where you have the doctors here. We get a picture of like the team out in front with binoculars or a telescope, and they're like looking around, doing the same thing. And we try to do the same thing. But the step that you take that make it easier for our clients is the automation portion.
Absolutely. And I love that. We always do custom photography with our offices. So we have an exact shot list that we like to get certain photos. So to that, oh my gosh, I love that. I'm probably going to steal it. You can actually have the doctor or your team going like this or going like this, right? And there's like, where are you at? It's a customized experience though. Although this puppy dog is adorable, I'm not going to deny that. It's not relatable because they don't really know who it's from. If you're sending it and so is your competition across the street and you guys have the same software and it's not customized, they may think the same person's sending it to them. You want to make sure they see it and they know exactly who it's from. And they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen Dr. Smith in 2 years. Oh, click, submit, done. So making it really easy, making them understand who exactly is reaching out to them is huge. And you can see this one generated 22 appointments just to get them back. And again, these are existing patients that have not yet had an appointment or didn't have an appointment on the books. We got them back in the chair. And that just shows how the numbers can look as far as just one campaign. I love being able to call them and making sure you have those touch points. I would totally recommend blasting them first to get that call list down, so then you can start calling the people that are left over to really value your time. Because just like doctor, hygiene, and front desk, they're wearing multiple hats as well. So just making sure you simplify that. Hey, we're not only, like you said, Kelly, I love that, go after the big treatment, right? Because that's people that need more help. So it's all about strategy, making sure that let's blast everybody first, see how many people book online, then let's go after the high value treatment and work our way down. That's how you're gonna really go after in a strategic way and be the most efficient with your time and be the most productive.
Yeah, on the branding there, it's so important when I get something from anyone that the photo, the branding quickly identifies who you are, because we're on information overload as a society with internet, Facebook, and Instagram. It's so easy to just scroll by something we don't recognize.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you see it, you relate, you see something and you're like, oh, I know who that person is. Even if they maybe have only seen you once, right? They at least can relate to you and make sure that there's that connection. Photography imagery is so key when it comes to having that customized experience and really standing out against competition. But also just making it more relevant to the patient. The more you connect with them, that's why social media is so popular. It's connecting, it's relating with people. So making sure that you're in the forefront is gonna make you stand out and make it easy for them to act. This is another example. So we talked about the unscheduled treatment, right? So you can even get, We like to do one where you can go after all unscheduled treatment. So if you look at the proposed, you can actually see, oh, I have so much availability. So like you were talking about acceptance rate. If people haven't accepted, it's because of lack of education is a lot of times what happens. You're telling them in the chair everything they need to know. They're excited in that moment, and then they leave. And then they're overwhelmed and they forget when they get home to their spouse is asking, well, how much is it? And how long is it going to take? How much time do you have to get off of work? Why do you really need it? Do you really need this right now? They're getting bombarded with questions and they're thinking, I don't know, but it was really awesome when I was there and I was really excited and now I'm not. That's where email marketing really comes in key. So if you are educating them and not just over inundating them with a lot of information, but bringing that value back to the patients, that's when you're going to stand out. So letting them know, one email can say financial options. Hey, these are common questions about financial options that we get. Here are the answers. We offer care credit. We offer an in-office savings plan to help you break up payments. These are all available to you. You've got Kara at the bottom waving, saying, hey, I'm here to help you. I'm the financial coordinator. Call me now. It's a lot more personalized, and they don't feel scared to ask those questions because you're addressing them head on. Same with time. You can talk about, we offer this specific technology to make sure that you have a less invasive procedure, to make sure that we're a lot more time. We can get it done in one visit. Those types of highlights within the campaigns really speaks to the patients and adds value to those treatments for them to go ahead and act. Even another one I have on here is, and I'm skipping through it. I'm trying to find
While
it.
you're pulling it up, Abby, as I said earlier, one of the biggest reasons people leave is a lack of indifference or caring. Yeah. So one of the things we teach in terms of retention and regarding unscheduled treatment, we can pull everybody who was in during any time frame that had treatment they didn't schedule through Dental Intel. And then within 10 to 14 days, they get a follow-up letter from the office with an intraoral camera photo of the tooth, aware that the doctor coming from the doctor that, hey, I understand you didn't schedule. I'm worried this and this could happen. Give us a call. I love that you have this automated, but here again, you want to have a system for whether it's manual or computerized, but within the first 10 days of the patient leaving your practice that didn't schedule, they should get a touch point from your team as to you're aware as the owner, the doctor, that they didn't schedule and that you're concerned. The letter or the email or the technology is not to get dollars in the chair. That's the end result. The email or the letter is to let the patient know you are concerned for their care. And we're going to follow up with you because we're concerned. You can tell us no, that's fine. But imagine, Abby, you walk out of the practice, you were told you needed some dentistry. You can't decide at the moment, but then the office never follows up with you. Imagine that message it sends. The other part is if I just call you, Abby may think it's just about the money. So I like to send a letter, a reason why I'm concerned before we call.
And it's a personal touch. You're absolutely right. It's just, you never want someone to think that you're calling them for money or it's all like in your favor. No, it's for their favor. It's if they keep holding off treatment, it's going to get more expensive or they're going to get disease. We want to make sure you're healthy. So, but it comes down to, again, lack of education. If they don't understand that, it's not the patient's fault. You are their healthcare provider. You want to provide those resources and give them that knowledge so they feel confident about their decisions that they're making. And by educating them on different avenues, so you can give them a letter, you can do an email, you can do a text, you can do a social post, we even like videos to really go above and beyond. Everybody relates to different touch points and they are going to register different communications. So you have to be available at all those types. And I get, like I said, there's a lot that you're doing already. So just putting these in is really overwhelming, but just making sure that you have this kind of strategy and even planning ahead and automating some of this information, or like we send it out or have someone designated to be sending it out. That's going to be key because these messages really makes your patient feel in control of the decisions that they're making, which only makes them keep them for life because you're creating a relationship, you're creating trust. And we know that's what it comes down to when it comes to dental, is just that trust. You have to build it by educating them and letting them and being transparent about everything so they feel in control about every decision that they make. This is another example too, especially with unscheduled treatment. highlighting the doctors. A lot of times people do this just for new doctors. We like to build authority with, even if they've been there for years, they might be new to the patients that have just started at the practice. You can see it says not available, and that's because there's not actually a template for this. So you'll just want to create some kind of template. I can send you campaign kits if you want to. I'll add a poll here at the end and you can just say, Abby, send it to me, or chat it. But yes, this is a great example to build authority. Sometimes they like the idea of getting, for instance, a dental implant, but they don't know if they can trust you to be the person to do it. Well, if you not only make a personal touch, but also say that, hey, I'm accredited by the AAID and the AACD, and I have had years of training, or I've done over X amount of implant cases, or hey, this is my family life too, I'm trustworthy, right? We're building that relationship through an email, and it can be so powerful because you can see this one email generated 76 appointments. One email generated 76 appointments just by letting them know who the doctor is and why you should trust them. And it's relating to the patient. You're not saying it to say it and like brag about yourself. I get a lot of doctors that are like, I don't want to, toot my own horn or anything like that. No, you need to. You put in the work. You need to brag about it because patients will build that trust. That's all it comes down to is, can they trust you and why should they trust you? Build that relationship even when they're not in your chair. And even this is a conversation starter. They'll come in the office and they'll be like, I didn't know you had a little girl, or I didn't know that you were you trained other doctors that are gonna be dentists. That's huge. You need to brag about that. And that's why I love this campaign too. And you can see how powerful it can be. And even add a video of the doctor like, hey, introducing themselves is huge as well. But again, there's that call to action, that big old button. And then there's this one right here. You can see, let's say we're trying to increase treatment for Invisalign. So you can see usually there's a discount that a lot of these templates will use, and there's stock photography. Something is better than nothing. So that is fine. But I highly encourage you to create with custom photography, have a big call to action button, and make sure the copy represents your practice and it explains what exactly you want. This says, it's virtually invisible, faster results, and no more sacrifices. That relates to the patient. This is, oh, that makes sense for me as the patient. I'm gonna schedule an appointment. You can see this email generated $2,800 just from one email. So you can see the power of educating patients through these emails are so powerful. So by looking at the numbers in dental intel and then acting on them, but not only, you can customize it with a list. Like, I think that's why people always feel weird to actually blast a list and they're like, well, I just don't feel like it's customized. It's absolutely customized because you are educating them on their specific needs and you're addressing specific concerns to help them make, again, their decision and feel controlled. And then this one, we talked about their hygiene schedule. I always love when people tell me, Abby, I'm booked. We don't want any more campaigns. Please don't send something out. I can't handle my phones ringing. We're swamped, right? It's always like, what is booked? Is it your hygiene schedule or is it your doctor schedule? Because those are completely different messages that we want to go after. And we can go into dental intel and see that, right? We can see the visits that are happening and see how your reappointment and if new patients are actually coming back. These are great opportunities for emails to make sure you're targeting those specific people to really drive home.
And Abby, one of the things I would say, it is common for doctors to say, oh, I'm booked, my hygiene's full, my doctor's side's full. Yes. That's when we should have an opportunity to look at how can we grow versus stop, right? Because the average patient spends $500 per year, 2 cleanings and an operative appointment. So think of just, 50 patients that didn't schedule because you said you didn't have room times 500. You're losing a lot of money. There's ways to make that happen. And that's, as a practice management coach who goes into offices day after day after day. As I said, Anna and I have like 750. Yeah. We find ways to get those unscheduled patients back in your chair, and we find ways to make room for the new patients that these campaigns are driving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what's huge. It's just, you don't just stop, because you said it earlier too. It's all about projecting the plan. You want to have your plan to make sure for new patients, you want to have those blocks to make sure you can take on new patients, but you also don't want to be reactive and just say, we're booked right now. What about 2-3 months from now? Schedule out, have that make sure you are booked out, and then you can start talking about growth. Yeah, is that more operatories? Is that another doctor? What is being held up that we can have more opportunities to make sure that they are available, so you are helping more patients or exceeding the goals that you want to achieve, and make sure
I say all the time, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotten. Right?
I love when you say that.
And so you gotta, think of it like a rose bush. You gotta trim some of those patients that aren't coming in, that are bad paying, that high canceling, and make room for those new, better patients, and even some of the existing patients that have slid through the cracks. Most of the time, a dental team will just pick the first name that's unscheduled and invite them in without the right information to make sure it's the right patient to invite in. It's one of the things that we like to use.
We always say create loyal patients for life. And if they're not loyal to you and they don't make you happy when they come in, don't ask them for more. You want more patients that you're excited to see, that show up on time, that pay the bills. And when you have more control over your schedule and you create these opportunities, that's when you can actually control your schedule even more by people that you want to see more of. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's 4 things that every doctor wants, and it's really simple. And it's kind of the foundation of what we do. But you want patients who do the work, pay their bill, refer their friends, and if you're lucky, they bring you treats. And if every patient referred one friend, did the work, paid their bill, and brought you chocolate, you'd be fat, rich, and happy, right? And so you just want to make sure that you're focused on those 4 things: green and growing or ripe and rotten. Never cut your feet out.
That's the best description I've heard. Definitely. And this one as well, so spring cleanings, all we did was highlight the spring cleanings and letting people, we related it to, it was spring, and we brought in, thank you, Brooke, I love that you wrote that out. If you actually have the spring cleaning, we related it to the time and made it more like, hey, you're cleaning out your closet. Why not make sure you have a clean smile? Again, this brought in 72 appointments. So if you guys think that email is not a good approach, I promise you it is. You just have to make it easy for the patients to act. Because 72 appointments, you can look at your dental intel, see what your production per visit is, times that by your production per visit, and that'll justify that number right there for you.
Absolutely. And I think what Abby and I are both saying here is you want to have the combination of automation as well as the personal touch, because both of us agree completely it's about relationship. Relationships build trust. More decisions are made based on relationship than knowledge. So when you can have a system of combination of your team interaction with customized direct marketing and follow-up that's branded to you, so there is a relationship, therefore a connection, therefore trust, you're going to have a more successful practice.
Absolutely. And you're going to be happier. You're going to enjoy your job more. So yes, absolutely. It's a customized experience. It's a better experience for you and the patient. And it's more efficient. If you make it easy, if you are looking at your numbers the way you want to actually understand where your practice wants to be, and then you go after, you target those patients, you communicate to those patients, and you make it easy for them to act. I'm going to say that again and again, easy for them to act, they will actually do what you tell them to do. You just got to make it easy. And that'll be a lot more efficient on your team. Your team can focus on claiming insurance or getting other people that need to through the phone, even customizing their management software and figuring out how they want to be communicated with, having those types of notes so you can know they only want to be contacted by phone. So I'm going to email blast all these people, and then I'm going to call those specific patients. You can really customize their experience and make your time more efficient and get better results because of it. And there's technology that allows you to do it. You just have to utilize it to its full potential.
Well, Abby, I want to throw an offer out. If you have dental intel already, and you'd like to schedule a 1-hour consult with me to review your numbers and what you're doing and where there may be some areas you can improve, I'd be happy to do that. If you don't have dental intel and you'd like a free snapshot and see the data of your particular practice and areas of opportunity to grow, we would like to offer you a free 1-hour consult and snapshot with us as well, courtesy of Abby and her team.
Yay. And actually, you guys, if you go to the polls right now, you're going to, again, on the right-hand column, there's chat questions. You can click on polls. Go ahead. There is, if you want Kelly to reach out to you for a free dental intel snapshot or 1 hour and a 1-hour private review, go ahead and say, yes, contact me. If you want a free campaign from me, I'm happy to send you a campaign kit. It walks you through every step of the way of how you can implement these types of campaigns into your own communication software, everywhere from the video script to the actual email content. And then if you want a one-on-one consultation with one of us at High Five Practice to figure out what the best campaigns are for you to send out to your patients, go ahead and say, yes, contact me as well. Especially Kelly and I love to work together. So if he's giving you a snapshot and he's figuring out your numbers, we can take that report and actually build out a year plan of what campaigns we want to send out for you. So then you don't have to worry about it. We can take it over from there. Yay.
Abby, thank you so much for inviting me tonight. Really enjoyed this.
I had so much fun.
To help. There's just so much information we could cover, and how this isn't enough. It's flown by.
I know. It's crazy that it's already been an hour, but thank you.
We were going to try and do a half hour. I'm glad we didn't.
We just like to talk. Yeah, there's too much information, and we didn't even go to all the boards, and there's so much more we can go over. So stay tuned to more. I'm sure we'll have more. But yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Again, this is recorded. You'll be able to watch a replay whenever you want. Kelly, I always appreciate talking to you and picking your brain. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Abby. You guys have a wonderful day.
Yay.
Thanks, bye, everybody. Did we tell them how to get a hold of us? I guess they can contact us.
Oh my gosh, I got excited.
Yeah, sorry, we forgot that part, right?
Yeah, actually, you guys, before we do that, there is, you can contact Kelly. I'm going to pull up a call to action right now button, so you'll be able to contact Kelly. So go ahead, you guys, there's a button right there. If you want to click that, it's going to lead you to his website. It's going to have his phone number, and there's also a form. So go ahead and fill out that form, and Kelly will be sure to be in touch with you. I'm going to leave it there for a second.
Sure.
Click, 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 everybody. Click, click. We'll make it easy for you.
That's okay. I mean, we're here whenever you get around to it. And anybody who watches this from a delayed standpoint, the offer is there for you as well, courtesy of High Five Practice. We're going to give you an hour of our time to do a dental intel snapshot, as well as if you already have dental intel, we'll take a look at your numbers together, either with you as the doctor and myself, or we can go over it with your whole team. Whatever is best for you. You and I, as the owner of the practice, will talk. We'll come up with a plan, make the best use of your time.
Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and put High Five as well. Contact High Five Practice. Okay, now you guys, there's also High Five Practice. That's also going to link you to our website. There's a phone number there, an email, but really we'd like you to just go ahead and block off time right on the calendar. You can just pick a date, a time, and then put in your information, and we'll do that one-on-one consultation with you to figure out your goals and to figure out what campaigns are going to be the best ones to send out to your practice. Whether that's us or whether that's you doing it yourself, we'll be happy to talk through it. We just want to make sure we can help any way possible, because we know there's a lot of marketing options and it can be very overwhelming. So we're happy to discuss what could be the best for you depending on your goals. Yay!
Well, once again, thank you, Abby.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly.
All right.
And I'll talk to everybody soon. Yay!
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.